Don't get mixed up with Patreon. Don't give them any of your personal information, and especially not anything concerning finances. Hi, it's Miss Capri. Patreon is not what people might think it is. It is not a good way to get money because you never know for sure whether your account is going to be yanked. They claim they are nonpartisan and not biased, and they are not banning people because of ideology. This is not true. Patreon kicked somebody out of their account claiming that they were endangering human lives. Patreon leaves accounts up for people who are trying to endanger human lives. This is because of Patreon's politics. If they deny this, they're lying. The only way they can prove this to be true is if they reinstate her account or get rid of the accounts of the antifa people that are on there.
Hey everyone, okay, so as you may know by now, Patreon has kicked me off of their website, essentially eviscerating the majority of my income. You may be wondering, what could their reason for doing this be? Well, let me just read you their email. Hi Lauren, my name is Max, and I'm a member of the Trust and Safety team at Patreon. Here at Patreon, we believe in freedom of speech. We are creating a platform that empowers creators to share and debate ideas. When ideas cross into action, though, we sometimes must take a closer look at what our creators are doing with the funds they earn through Patreon. It appears that you are currently raising funds in order to take part in activities that are likely to cause loss of life. We have therefore decided to remove your page from Patreon and paid out your final balance of $95 to you. We understand that this will come as a disappointment. Please know that we have come to this decision after a long review process and will not consider an appeal. Thank you for your understanding. Raising funds in order to take part in activities that are likely to cause loss of life. That's a pretty freaking incredible claim there, Patreon. That should take some pretty incredible evidence behind it, shouldn't it? But what did you provide as evidence? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely freaking nothing. Now, I assume that you guys are talking about the Defend Europe mission, a mission that, firstly, I am not actually taking part in. I was planning on joining them on the boat initially just to record everything, something that hundreds of journalists and reporters from all across the political spectrum were begging to do, but I decided a professional crew member with more experience should take my place instead. Secondly, not a dime that I got from Patreon went towards the Defend Europe mission. All of the money I get from Patreon goes towards my initial stated goals, which were entirely within the Patreon guidelines. And thirdly, and probably the most important point, even if I were taking part in the Defend Europe mission, and I were raising money for it through Patreon, it is not a mission with any intentions to cause the loss of life. In fact, that is quite a slanderous statement because the intentions are the exact opposite. For those who don't know, Defend Europe is a mission which has three main goals. 1, fact-finding to expose the alleged collusion between NGOs and human traffickers. 2, to sink empty, hazardous rafts so they can't be used by traffickers again, a task that NGOs should be doing. And 3, to answer distress calls and provide aid to migrants who need it and call the closest port for aid instead of transporting people to the furthest point in Europe, which the Italian government are asking the NGOs to stop doing. The mission is literally working entirely within maritime laws, and if any of that changed, and if their mission was to harm people or to ignore people in distress, I would disavow it immediately. The reality is, though, that Patreon has no interest in any of that. They have no interest in the truth. They've already stated that their shutdown of my account is not up for review, and that they're not doing this for ideological reasons, even though it is quite clear that that's exactly what they're doing. If you want to go ahead and prove me wrong, Patreon, reinstate my account, because I am doing none of the things that you've accused me of doing. And if you truly do have concerns about people raising money that may lead to the loss of life, then why do you keep pages up like It's Going Down, a radical left-wing organization that promote violence against police? It doesn't quite add up, does it? Oh wait, it does actually add up. It's because you guys at Patreon actually have employees that quite publicly support Antifa, and the entire letter you sent me was complete and utter bullshit, basically.
Patreon maintains the accounts of people who are involved in dangerous, hateful ideologies of violence that cause loss of human life. Lauren Southern is fighting against these bigoted, hateful, sexist, racist, antifa thuggery movements. If you don't want to support those movements either, don't go Patreon.